Welcome to the Nourish to Thrive podcast, faith-forward, science-backed strategies for women who want more energy, less weight, and real answers. I'm your host, Tanya Pennington-Miller, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and functional blood chemistry specialist with a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. If you're tired of feeling dismissed by your doctor, confused by your labs, and stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. Here, we simplify the science, we get to the root, and we anchor it all in truth. Because God made your body to heal and thrive, not just survive. It just needs the right kind of support and less noise. Hello, my friend. Welcome in, and I am so glad you're back. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever been absolutely exhausted at the end of your day only to find yourself lying in bed awake at night? Maybe you are scrolling on your phone, maybe you're just tossing and turning, or maybe you actually finally drift off only to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning with your mind racing and just absolutely no chance of going back to sleep. And then your alarm goes off and you feel like you really never rested at all. If you caught last week's episode, you know how much your mornings matter for resetting your circadian rhythm. But today, we're flipping to the other bookend, okay? We're going to talk about your evenings because your body doesn't just need sleep. It needs the right conditions to make your sleep restorative, okay? And too many women are stuck in the cycle of being tired, but also wired, okay? Running on fumes all day and then lying awake at night wondering, what is wrong with me? And I understand this all too well because I was there myself years ago. I would toss and turn. And a lot of times I'd end up unintentionally waking my husband up and he would ask, why aren't you sleeping? Like, oh, I don't know. I would just rather toss and turn all night, right? And didn't I wish I knew? Like it was this constant battle for me in that entire season. But this can be fixed, and fixing it isn't about creating this like 2-hour bedtime ritual routine or following 10 steps that you're never going to be able to stick to. It's really about simple and practical shifts that work with your biology, okay, so that you can fall asleep more easily, so that you can stay asleep throughout the night, and you can wake up feeling refreshed instead of depleted. Okay, that's exactly what we're going to be digging into today. Now, before we dive in, I would also love to encourage you to go back to my last episode. If you haven't listened already, take a listen to that one because it's a bit of a part 1 to this episode. That way you can get the full picture. Listen now, hit pause, go back and listen now, or you can listen to that one after this one. So let's start with the basics because if you've ever wondered why your sleep feels so off, this is usually where it begins. Your body runs on a simple but powerful rhythm, okay? Cortisol and melatonin work like a seesaw. So during the day, cortisol rises to give you energy, to give you focus, to make you alert. And at night, cortisol is supposed to go to bed, right? It's supposed to taper down so that melatonin can make its appearance. It can rise and help you rest at night. That's how God designed it. Light and dark, rise and rest. Genesis tells us God created the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. From the very beginning, he built rhythm into creation and into our bodies. But here's the problem. Most of us are living in a way that keeps that seesaw stuck. There are many modern habits that are making this happen. So scrolling on screens late at night, that's a huge one. Carrying the stress of the day into bed with us, eating too close to bedtime, or depending on caffeine to push through our day, right? All of these keep cortisol elevated when it should be tapering down at night. And when it doesn't taper down like it's meant to, you're going to struggle to fall asleep, even if you are dog tired, okay? Or you crash first, you have no trouble falling asleep, but then you wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning with a racing mind, unable to settle back down, okay? Or you just toss and turn all night and you wake up groggy no matter how many hours the clock says you slept. And for me, when I was in that season, I had a little smorgasbord of all of this, different things on different nights. I experienced all of them. And all of this is not just bad sleep. This is your rhythm being disrupted. And we're talking about your circadian rhythm here. And when your rhythm is off, it's not just your nights that suffer. It ripples into your hormones, your energy, your cravings. And the one that we notice most, it affects our ability to lose weight. Now, the good news is that once we understand this seesaw effect, we can start making the small shifts that bring it back into balance. And that's where your evenings become one of the most powerful tools you have. So let's talk about the things that most of us do nightly that totally works against the sleep that we are trying so desperately to get. And the first one, I've already mentioned it, it's a big one, screens, phones, TVs, laptops, iPads, they all emit blue light. Okay, this blue light suppresses your melatonin production. Now, last week we talked about how our brain needs the full spectrum and this intensity of natural light to trigger that strong cortisol signal. Okay, that's for the morning time. And we mentioned how screens are too weak for that, right? Like you can't wake up, look at your phone, and get the benefit from your phone. But when we're talking about the nighttime, your brain actually doesn't need too much to suppress melatonin. So even that weak light from any screen can be enough to confuse your system. So when you're scrolling at 10 p.m., your body thinks it's still daytime. So melatonin gets delayed. Cortisol is going to stay elevated. And falling asleep, it feels impossible. It is impossible. Now, the second one, late night snacking and or alcohol. Okay, and I know a glass of wine or maybe a little dessert, that little cookie that you have at the end of the day can feel like it helps you to relax. Like it signals the end of your day, right? Like you're finally taking the edge off. But I'm going to tell you what's really going on inside of your body. Sugar and alcohol both spike your blood sugar. And when that spike comes down late at night, it's almost guaranteed to come crashing down. Okay, right around 2 or 3 in the morning. And when your blood sugar dips too low, your body panics. Cortisol gets released. Like that's the one thing in our bodies that's going to help to bring our blood sugar levels back up. And suddenly you are wide awake. Your mind is racing. You're wondering, why can't I sleep tonight? And I want to take a second to talk about alcohol specifically. And I'm talking more specifically about women in perimenopause or even menopause. Okay. That nightly glass of wine is often going to make your hot flashes worse. So if you're someone who's been trying to correct these hot flashes and you are having, even if it's a small glass of wine at night, I would really encourage you to try and take a break from that and see if you notice an improvement. Okay, because alcohol dilates your blood vessels and it messes with your body's temperature regulation. So instead of helping you wind down, it really sets you up for night sweats, for tossing the covers off, for waking up drenched, waking up restless. So, and then if you pair that with, a blood sugar crash that's also happening, it is like this major recipe for being awake at 2 a.m., feeling miserable, and being exhausted the next day. So that nightcap that is convincing you, or you're convincing yourself that it's helping you unwind, in reality, it's adding fuel to the fire of disrupted sleep and hormone dysfunction. And I bring this to you from so many women that I have helped over the years who are perimenopausal or postmenopausal, where they were able to identify, oh my gosh, the reason that hopping on, estrogen as a bioidentical hormone didn't help my hot flashes or why the progesterone didn't help my hot flashes, it was actually coming from that glass of wine that I convinced myself was okay for me to have at night. But I encourage you to figure this out for yourself. Now, the third thing is something I call revenge bedtime procrastination. And this is when you're so busy during the day, you're pouring into work, pouring into kids, your family, a never-ending to-do list that by the time the evening comes, you feel like the day has not been yours at all. So you stay up late and you stay up scrolling, watching TV. Maybe you're just kind of like lingering awake, because it feels like the only quote unquote me time that you get. And listen, I get it. That quiet time at the end of the night can feel sacred, especially when your days are full of noise and, just full of responsibility. But the hard truth is that what feels like a reward in the moment ends up robbing you of the true restoration that your body actually needs. Because when you stay up too late, you're cutting into the very thing that would give you more energy the next day, more focus, more patience. Can I get an amen for the following day, right? Real restorative sleep is what is going to give you all of those things. And so then the cycle repeats. You're tired all day. You push through with grit and a side of caffeine. And then when the house is finally quiet again, you don't want to give up the one slice of time that feels like it's yours. But the problem is that that me time doesn't actually refill you. It feels good for a moment, but it leaves you depleted in the long run. And I'm going to give you actually a real life example. A friend of mine told me she had deleted the TikTok app from her phone because she was just really catching herself scrolling too much. And she started to wonder, like, am I addicted to this app? Like, I can't possibly be, right? And she actually thought, is this affecting my sleep? Because she was having trouble sleeping. So after a few weeks, she did feel better. Her sleep had improved. And she just thought, you know what? I deserve it tonight. I'm going to take a bath and I just want to scroll TikTok. And she downloaded the app again, just for some quote unquote me time. And wouldn't you know it, that very night, her sleep was awful. And she learned and she deleted it again the next day because she saw that direct connection. So again, if this is another thing you haven't tested, you may want to. Like, I don't know what kind of control these apps have over us, but they are designed to keep us hooked. Okay. And the cost isn't just wasted time. It's our peace. It's our focus. And for so many women, it's our sleep. And the enemy loves distraction. If he can keep us scrolling till midnight, then he can keep us from the rest that God designed for us to do what he has called us to do. True restoration doesn't come from squeezing in another hour of Netflix or scrolling TikTok until midnight or keeping our laptop open an extra hour. It comes from letting your body enter that deep rhythm of sleep that God has designed to heal your hormones, to heal your brain, to heal your nervous system. And sister, I promise you, your worth is not in how much you can push through. You do not have to earn your rest. Sometimes the most radical act of self-care and stewardship is closing the laptop. It's closing the phone. It's letting your body receive the gift of sleep. And the last one is stress carryover. So you may not even realize how much you're actually taking to bed with you at night, ruminating on your day, rehashing conversations, running through tomorrow's to-do list. All of that keeps your nervous system in this on mode when it should be winding down. And let's be real, women tend to carry this in a very unique way. It's not just what needs to get done tomorrow, it's the invisible list, the school forms that need to be signed, the meals that need to be planned for the week, the text that you forgot to respond to. Guess what? It'll still be there tomorrow. The appointment you still need to make. Maybe it's appointments. The constant hum of responsibility doesn't shut off just because you laid your head on the pillow. And this happened to me the other night. I laid my head on the pillow and I thought, oh my gosh, did I text that person back? I don't think I texted that person back. And so I was ruminating on it and I thought, oh my goodness. And so immediately I stopped myself and I made a note on my nightstand to text her back the next day. And guess what? When I looked the next day, I had texted her back 3 days earlier. So I was going to spend time ruminating on something I had already done. But this is what we do. And physiologically, here's what's happening. Your brain is keeping cortisol circulating when it should be tapering down. And that keeps your body in that fight or flight. Your heart rate stays just a little bit too high. Your digestion doesn't fully shift into rest and digest. And your mind feels like it's kind of on this hamster wheel. That's why you can feel so tired, but also be wired at the same time. And it's why your sleep feels light. So like even if you are getting sleep, it's like not hitting that deep level, right? It's why you feel restless. And this is not all mental. When your body senses stress late at night, it interprets it as actual danger, which means that your nervous system will not allow you to fully drop into that deep, restorative stage of sleep. Because when we're in survival mode, rest doesn't feel safe. Like if we take this further and we're like, I don't know, in the middle of some forest at night, in the middle of the night, do you think we're going to get our deepest sleep there? You know, if we weren't actually, we're not camping, right? Like we're out there by accident somehow and we happen to drift off because we're so tired. That's not going to be deep restorative sleep. Well, your body doesn't know the difference between that and you thinking, oh my gosh, did I text that person back? And these deep stages of sleep, this is where all the repair happens. This is when your body clears waste from your brain, consolidates your memory, it balances your hormones, it repairs tissues. And it's also when growth hormone peaks, which is essential for metabolism, for fat burning, for your recovery. So when stress keeps you stuck in these lighter stages of sleep, you're not just missing rest, you're missing the very processes that your body needs to heal and to function the next day. So if you wondered, why do I wake up feeling like I barely slept last night, even if I got 8 hours of sleep, stress carryover is one of the biggest culprits. So each of these things, screens, late night food or alcohol, revenge, procrastination, and stress carryover, are some of the biggest reasons that women feel tired but wired at night. Like men have some sort of like magic switch in their brain that I wish we could access sometimes, where they're just able to go bloop and turn it off. And it's like, worry about that tomorrow. We could learn from them. The truth is, if you're doing any of these things that I mentioned, your sleep is going to pay the price. Okay, simply because your body is responding exactly the way it was designed to respond. But this also means that our choices have power. And when we change the cues that we give our body, then we can change the outcome. And it doesn't require some complicated routine. Okay, just a few intentional shifts that tell your body that it is safe and it is time to rest. And you don't even have to do all of the things that I'm about to tell you about. Okay. Let's walk through what this can actually look like. When it comes to your evenings, I like to think of 3 pillars: light, food, and stress. So let's start with light. Light is one of the strongest signals your body gets about what time it is. Remember the cortisol, melatonin seesaw effect we talked about? Your evening light exposure is what helps that seesaw tip into melatonin's favor. Okay, so here's what you can do. Dim your lights about an hour before bed. Swap out the big, bright overhead lights. Like our kitchen lights are so disturbingly bright, which of course I only notice in the nighttime. And by the way, women are more sensitive to this than men. And oftentimes when I tell my husband, like, oh my gosh, can you catch those lights when you're walking through the kitchen? It's so bright. He looks at me like, is it really that bad? Yes, it is. And there's actually science behind that. It affects women more. So swap out those lights for softer options like lamps instead. You can even do a salt lamp. Candles would be amazing. We generally tend to turn on our microwave light that kind of just like sends down a little hue. Okay. But the bright artificial light tricks your brain into thinking that it's still daytime. Okay. And this is going to delay your melatonin production. Okay. Another thing you can do is block the blue light. So if you do have a need to be on some kind of device in the evening, this is where the blue light blocking glasses can really, really help you. Now, at nighttime specifically, you do want to find a pair that has the orange or the red tinted lenses. These are especially effective because they filter out more of the stimulating light. Okay, you're blocking the blue light, but then also you're blocking out just the actual light that you would see through like a yellow lens. Okay. They don't replace dimming your environment, but they do give your brain a fighting chance to, start winding down, even if you're still answering an email or catching up on a show, or for some reason you have somebody in your house that just feels like they need those bright lights on. Okay. And I can tell you, I actually really do notice a big difference when I wear them. When I put them on, I settle so much easier. And it's like my brain gets this hint that it's time to power down for the night. Okay, another thing you can do, this is the easiest one, step outside at dusk if you can, even for just a few minutes. This is going to help your body register, okay, the light is fading, the day is closing. Because God designed your body to respond to these shifts in creation. The rising and the setting of the sun were always meant to anchor your rhythms. And so you might notice it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need like a perfect system or super fancy gadgets. Simply dimming your lights, stepping outside for a few minutes, and just being mindful of your screens can be enough to tell your body that the day is done and we can safely rest. Okay, the next pillar is food. So we already talked about how alcohol and sugar late night can sabotage your sleep. And here's the bigger picture. Anything that spikes or stimulates your system before bed can throw off your rhythm. That includes caffeine, okay? Of course, desserts or just the one glass of wine, okay? They all keep your blood sugar and your cortisol from settling the way that they need to so that your body can get that deep, proper rest. Now, if you are someone who wakes up in the middle of the night, especially around that 2 to 3 a.m., same time every morning, it seems, it's often because that your blood sugar has dipped, okay, paired with, as a result, a cortisol surge. And this is especially common in women with adrenal dysfunction, okay, where your stress response is just already out of rhythm. And in that case, adding a small protein and carb snack before bed can actually be supportive. I want you to think of something like half of a green Granny Smith apple with some almond butter, maybe some turkey with a few berries, or, a couple spoonfuls of chia pudding, okay? That little bit of a balance keeps your blood sugar stable overnight and prevents your body from sounding the cortisol alarm, okay? And minerals are also always a great idea. Magnesium, electrolytes, even just a pinch of a high quality sea salt in your evening water. All of these can help calm your nervous system and really help to set the stage for deeper sleep. Another one of my personal favorites at night, if you are needing a little something before bed, is a nice warm mug of bone broth with a sprinkle of sea salt in it. I also like to add some butter into mine and froth it. It's very soothing, very mineral rich. And of course, it's got some protein too, which makes it just this perfect option before bed, especially if you're prone to those 2 to 3 a.m. wake ups. Okay. The last pillar is stress. And honestly, this might be the most important one, because if your body feels stressed, it doesn't matter how perfect your lighting is or what you ate. Your nervous system is not going to let you fully rest. So here's a few ways that you can give your system that all clear signal before bed, okay? Swap your scrolling for something restorative. So instead of falling into the phone trap, choose something that helps your body and your mind wind down, like reading a book, okay? Some gentle stretching, journaling, spend a few minutes in prayer. These are the practices that tell your body we are safe. We can rest. And I'm not completely taking your screens away from you, but have a cutoff time with them, right? And switch over to doing this. You can also try a nervous system downshift. So this could be a few minutes of deep breathing. You could lay with your legs up on the wall. You could listen to a guided prayer or meditation. There's a really great app called the Abide app, which is really, really great for that. All of these help to shift you out of your fight or flight and into your rest and digest. Okay, and lastly, I would recommend doing a brain dump. If your mind races, when your head hits the pillow, keep a notepad by your bed. That's what I do. Jot down tomorrow's to-dos, whatever your lingering thoughts are, so that your brain doesn't feel like it has to hold on to them all night. Because I know I do that. Like if I had thought I didn't respond to this person in text, I would have been telling myself to remind myself, make sure you remember when you wake up in the morning. But getting it down on that paper allowed me to just let it go. I love using this time to quiet my heart before the Lord. Sometimes that looks like prayer journaling. Sometimes it's opening my Bible for a few verses. And other times, and probably most often in the season that I'm in right now, it's just sitting in stillness for a few minutes with my hand on my heart and just thanking Him for the day. Like that small act of shifting my focus off the day that's behind me and onto Him helps to change everything. Slows down my breathing, settles my thoughts. It reminds me that I don't have to carry the weight of tomorrow on my own. And these shifts, they might sound small, but they are so powerful. They help to lower your cortisol. They open the door for melatonin. They help your body slide into the deep and restorative sleep that you've been craving. And I always think it helps to hear what this looks like in real life. So let me share a little bit with you, just kind of give you a little glimpse into my own evenings. And my routine looks a little different in different seasons that I'm in, right? Like right now, I'm in my season of what I still consider being a new mom, okay, with a 15-month-old. And my husband and I have chosen the attachment parenting style. So our evenings are shaped by this and we welcome it. So for me, it usually starts with a shower. That's my signal to my body that the day is winding down. After that, I'll spend some time on my skincare. Like I purposely don't rush through it. I spend some time in my bathroom. I allow that skincare routine to just be a few minutes of self-care. And then before I leave my bedroom, this is when I pause with my hand on my heart and I thank the Lord for the day. It's such a simple practice, but it shifts my focus and it helps me to release whatever it is I've been carrying that day. And then I make us dinner with a grateful heart. And that might sound so silly, but it's the truth. I did not always love cooking. It was a chore to me, okay? But my daughter has helped me to just slow down in so many ways and to be grateful for the things that I once rushed through. So after eating, I make sure the lights are dimmed throughout the house so that our bodies can get that signal that it's evening time. And then I love sipping on this magnesium and adaptogen drink. And I switch it up sometimes. I might sip on something different from time to time. But and then I just enjoy the evening with my husband while nursing my baby to sleep. And most nights we'll catch one show together in the living room while she's sleeping on me. And it's literally the only time we ever watch TV. And if I'm being honest, I generally do not make it through a show, especially ever since getting my circadian rhythm back on track. I tend to fall asleep a little bit earlier in the evenings now, which I also welcome because I get an average of 8 hours of sleep per night because of it. And here's the thing, my routine is not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. This rhythm works for us right now, and my sleep is beautiful. But if there was one thing that I would change, like if I did need to take this deeper, then it would be either cutting the TV out or making it earlier in the evening. Okay. And notice that I said we watch this show in the living room. We don't bring it into our bedroom because for me, keeping that space screen free has been such a gift for better rest. We still have a television in our bedroom. Can't remember the last time I turned it on. Can't remember. We used to. But the point is, this rhythm isn't about checking every box or doing it all right. It's about finding what supports your body, your family, okay, in the season that you are in. And that can be ever changing. Okay, I promise you, you will feel the difference. When we talk about evening rhythms, we're not just talking about sleep hygiene or circadian biology. Those do matter, of course, but we're talking about living in step with the way God created the world to function. Genesis tells us there was evening and there was morning, the first day. Notice God began the day with evening, with rest. He built rest into creation before the work. That means rest isn't something you earn after doing enough. It's the foundation you start from. And I literally used to say, I have to earn my sleep. Like if I wasn't sleeping well at night, I would tell myself, I must not be pushing it hard enough during the day. And that could not be further from biblical truth. Psalm 113:3 says, "From the rising of the sun to its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised." And that is a daily reminder that our lives are meant to flow with the light and the dark, the rising and the setting, all anchored in Him. And here's what I found. So often, our evenings reveal what we really believe. Do we believe that if we shut the laptop, if we silence our phone, if we leave the laundry undone, that God will still hold it all together? Or are we acting like it is all on us? Somebody's got to do it. I've said this before and I will never stop saying it. Rest is not weakness. Rest is obedience. It is saying, God, I trust you with what's unfinished. It's releasing the weight of the day and acknowledging that He's God and that we are not. So what if your evenings weren't about cramming in one more task, one more scroll, one more hour of hustle, but instead became sacred space? Space to let your body wind down, to let your spirit exhale, to trust Him with the things you can't control. Because at the end of the day, your health isn't built on how perfectly you perform. It's built on rhythm, on alignment, and on resting in the one who designed both. Father, I just thank you for every woman listening today. You know the weight she's carried, the racing thoughts that follow her into the night, and the way her body longs for deep rest. Lord, you are the one who spoke light into being and set the rhythm of evening and morning. Teach us to honor that rhythm. Remind us that rest is not wasted time. It's worship, it's trust, it's obedience in you. I pray that she lays her head down tonight, Lord, that she would feel your peace wash over her. Quiet her mind, Lord, calm her nervous system, and steady her heart. Help her to release the unfinished tasks into your hands and trust that you are still at work while she rests. May her evenings become sacred space, not filled with striving, but instead with surrender. Let her sleep be restorative. Let her mornings be filled with light and her days anchored in your presence. We praise you, Lord, from the rising of the sun to its setting. And we ask that every rhythm of our bodies would bring glory to your name. In your glorious name we pray. Amen. If today's episode spoke to you, I would love to hear from you. Come share your biggest evening struggle with me over on Instagram, tanya.pennington.miller. I always love hearing your stories. And if you have a friend who's always saying she's tired but can't sleep, would you send this episode her way? Sometimes all it takes is one small shift or one reminder that she's not alone. And of course, don't forget to follow the show so that you never miss an episode, and I will see you next week. That's it for today on the Nourish to Thrive podcast. If you found value here, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or send it to someone who's walking a similar path. Keep showing up, keep asking questions, and know that healing is possible, especially when you trust the one who designed your body to heal. Until next time, stay rooted in truth and nourished in grace.